I'm going to talk about the Raft River Rainbow fiction writing resources, which are different, of course, to the Raft River Rainbow autobiographical writing, where people are talking about their own lives and their own resilience. So this writing is to support people writing 1 or 2 paragraphs of really classy writing, scenes from an imaginary novel. That's the kind of focus. And this resource is very similar to another one that I wrote called Fiction with a Twist, except that this resource is based on using picture cards. So it's a 5-week blog, which has 1 task per week, and I'll walk through those tasks now. So the first task is to write a character sketch. So when you read a character sketch in a novel, that's the one paragraph where you get to meet the character for the first time. And in reading the description of the character, you actually find out about their personality through the writer's description of their clothing and their habits and their thoughts. So a character sketch is kind of like a snapshot of a character, and it's when you meet one of the main characters, usually for the first time. So you're actually going to do a character sketch in first person point of view, and you're going to be introducing your fictional best friend. So remember, it only has to be 1 or 2 paragraphs, and it's a character sketch. Okay, the second writing task is one in which you're going to write a 1 to 2 paragraph scene that shows one of the main characters in action. So this is going to have a lot of expressive verbs, it's going to have a lot of excitement, and it's going to really be a show not tell, and it's going to be pacey and exciting. Now this task, number 3, is a dialogue task, because when we use dialogue in stories, dialogue always has to be used for a purpose. It has to show us a relationship or point to a theme. So this is a little snap of dialogue here, and you can either have it about 2 people meeting and actually making friends through their talking. You can have a conversation where 2 characters realize that they're actually falling in love, or you can have a dialogue where 2 main characters are having a pretty important argument. I suppose the main thing about dialogue is you just don't put dialogue in unless it carries a purpose and it points inside the main characters or it points to a theme. Another use of dialogue actually is to catch us up on any action that's been happening off stage. Now, task 4 is one that asks you to choose the tone that you're going to use as a writer, to have your voice. So with this one, you're going to be very aware of whether you're coming across with a funny tone or a suspenseful or mysterious one. So you're thinking really hard about your writer's voice in task 4. Again, it's just a couple of paragraphs to practice your skills. And then task 5 relates to a symbolic object. And it's actually 1 or 2 paragraphs where a character might be visiting a room that they used to be in many years ago when they were little, or maybe they've come across a piece of clothing or something that a relative has given to them. And when they actually look at that object, it's symbolic because it actually brings back a whole lot of really important memories in a flashback. So the object is not really just an object, it's symbolic of the main character's feelings. So there are many more cards that give you writing prompts than there are the 5 tasks that I've just talked through. So you're really welcome to use those to hone your writing skills. And if you prefer photographs as a prompt, then the same cards are also done as cards with photographs in them. Now there's another little fun task that some people really enjoy, which is you make up your own image-based cards around things like character and setting and plot and point of view and so on. You do it with images, and then you hand those cards that you've made, those narrative cards, to a friend, and a friend has a crack at writing a story using the cards that you've presented them with. Now there's another little set of cards in this resource, and every single card, strangely, begins with the letter C. So I've just shown you two of them here, Courage to Change and Creativity. So the Courage to Change idea is that when you actually get into the writing zone and you write silently for 10 to 15 minutes, it's really productive for your writing. And some writers actually don't let themselves go into the writing zone. They kind of stay a bit too chatty. So be brave, go into that silent writing zone. Feel okay to make mistakes, cross out lots of stuff in your writing, but take a bit of a journey in the writing zone and your writing will, over time, get a lot more interesting. And the other card here is the creativity card, because we get told a lot of rules about good writing of stories, and those rules are actually really useful. But the fun thing is that you can break the rules. So one of the important rules you get told is have a lot of show and not too much tell. And you know what? Sometimes you read a book and you think, this book has a huge amount of tell in it as well as showing, and I really like it anyway. Another thing that people say to you is make sure you always have a very likable main character. But you know, the funny thing is you might actually choose to have a very unlikable main character, and somehow you're structuring your story so that the reader just can't put your story down. Sometimes, you know, a writer takes a really big risk writing about a topic that they care about, and they're not sure if anyone else cares. But because they've made it so funny or so exciting, in fact, it really works. So I do encourage you to have fun with these craft cards. That's why I started them with C, because they are all about writer's craft. Now here's a personal challenge checklist that comes with these resources. And this is where a writer thinks to themselves, okay, I'm just going to challenge myself today to push myself with one aspect of my writing. So for example, here I've got about halfway down the challenge checklist, I've got, have I used the senses in my writing? And that really means, have you shown what your main character saw, heard, and felt in their body as a scene was brewing up? Or you might challenge yourself to show a turning point in a story that you're writing, so that your reader goes with you and realizes that the main character is just at the point of change. Or maybe the main character is just realizing something totally different from what they've known before. And we call that having an insight. So I think this personal challenge checklist is very helpful, because it allows you to set something new that you would like to work on in your writing session.